Hello, my name is Matt Nolf. I'm with PNG Technologies out of Michigan. We're a supplier of propane natural gas custom kits for generators. Today we're going to be showing you the Generac XG8000E. We'll show you the propane steps and the natural gas steps on this. And again, these are custom kits designed specifically for these units, so we'll go ahead and get started on that. Okay, first what we're going to do is we have to remove this cover here. It just makes it easier to have access to the carburetor and remove the air cleaner. So we'll go ahead. Now these are Allens. I don't know the exact size, but just pull these four out here. And that will give us access to that. And you set your panel aside. And then I just go ahead and stick the screws back in there, that way you don't have to worry about getting them lost. All right, and then I'll go ahead and show you the next steps on it. Okay, first what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to pull our air breather boot off here. Okay, just kind of turn that to the side, and we'll get to that in a little bit because we have to put an extension in here. So now if you can look up in here, it's hard to kind of see, but there's the choke cable that you're going to use for the gasoline. And of course, if you still want to run gasoline, you want to hook your choke back up. Well, this is probably the toughest part of the job, is getting this bolt loose to be able to take the cable out. So it is a 5/16 back here, and we're going to go ahead, and now my hands are probably going to get in the way a few times here, but all I'm doing is loosening this nut up here to be able to get the cable out. So this will take a little bit of time. I might have got it loose enough to be able to get my hands. No. And then once we loosen this up, then we got to feed that cable through the bracket here that actually does the choke. So let's get this loose first. It makes it easier to pull this off. That's why I do this part first. I think that's enough to be able to, yeah, there we go. And then you can kind of release the cable from there. And if you can see in there, I've released the cable. So let's go ahead and get us some needle nose pliers in there. And again, I know my hands are going to get in the way here, but all you're doing is feeding this through. You might have to bend that up a little bit, but that's okay. You can always straighten it out once you get it out of there. Oh, almost. You can see that's a tight fit back there. Almost. You can see I'm struggling with a little bit too, so you're going to struggle with it also. Boy, it's so close. It's right there. And you can see I'm showing you, and I'm not stopping this video because I want you to see that I'm having a little bit of a difficult problem with it. All right, maybe this time. Oh, it's right there. Hopefully going back in will be a little easier. It is definitely stubborn, that is for sure.
just pinching on the end a little bit on me is what it's doing.
Finally. All right, well, you've seen what I went through there, so we'll go ahead and show you the next steps after that. Okay, now that we've got that nightmare out of the way, we're going to go ahead and remove the hose coming off your vent line for the gas tank. Just kind of set it up out of your way. Now, you got a choice here what you want to do, because when we put this installation on, the vibration bracket here to the air cleaner, this is on there pretty good. I mean, this is kind of an overkill, but you can remove these here. And then in the next step, we're going to remove the bolts from the inside. I just leave it back on there in case you ever want to go back to factory settings. You can have it that way. So we'll go ahead and show you the next steps. Okay, now let's go ahead and remove our cover here and get access to where we can remove all this so we can get our adapter on there. And these are 5/16 here on these. Go ahead and remove the cover, filters on it. Now we're going to go ahead. You have the 2 bolts back here that I was telling you about that are for the vibration bracket. And then we have the 2 studs up here on the top. And then we'll go ahead and get to them and show you how to do that. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove our 2 lower vibration bolts. And these are 10s. Go ahead and get them off. And we'll get our 2 nuts off up here. All right, now you got 2 flat washers on here also. You just kind of let that come with it. All right, now where we fought with that choke in the back, again, it plays with this. So you got to kind of bend this down a little bit, feed that around, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you're back there with it. And you just kind of come around, it's like, because of this little bracket here. So we'll go ahead and remove that, and we'll go ahead and show you the next steps here. Okay, now I kind of want to explain a little something while I do the next step here, but we're going to obviously install our adapter on here, okay? So we're going to add stud extensions on these, okay? And we'll supply this with it. Okay, these are 6mm stud extensions, okay? So we're going to screw them on both of them, and that will allow for our adapter to go on, because obviously we're adding a space. Now this little notch in the back of here, you want to go to the top, and that's because of the choke that we have here that doesn't hit that. So use their gasket here, go ahead and slide the adapter over, and then we will supply you another gasket that we'll put over here. But I wanted to show you what I have to do. This is the back cover that we took off, that we fished through, and this is that cable bracket holder down we had to take off on the top to release it from the choke. Well, now that we're pulling this away, this interferes, this piece of the plastic here interferes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove. Now I got a die grinder here. Now if you got a Dremel you can use it, or a hacksaw, but we're going to go ahead and remove this section here on this. So I'll go ahead and show you them steps. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and cut this. Make sure you wear some safety glass if you're using a grinder. So we'll go ahead and alrighty, now we'll just clean this up and then we'll go ahead and show you the next steps. Okay, now I wanted to show you this. There's a few steps to this versus a lot of the other ones, but when you go and put this back on now, and you go to line the holes up, you hit the corner of this part of this frame assembly here. So what we're going to have to do to get this to work, we're going to remove this material right here again with the grinder. Now if you don't have one, you can use a hacksaw too. This is very, very thin, so, and again, it's because it won't go up there and it allows it to hit there. So we'll go ahead and pull this off. Now I wanted to just show you that. We're going to pull this back off, and then I just take a bag, just kind of pop it over the studs. That way you don't get no debris in there, and then we'll go ahead and I'll show you how to cut this. Okay, we got our bag protected, any debris going in. Now we're going to remove these studs here, our stud extensions for our adapter. Just makes it easier for me to get in there with the die grinder. And the only reason I showed you them steps before is because I wanted you to see the adapter up there and why I was doing it at the time. So let's go ahead and again, wear your safety glasses. Go ahead and cover it down. Let's see if we can go ahead and pull that off there. And then we'll go ahead and clean that up once we get that removed there. Okay, now that we've got everything kind of set, we got our stud extensions back on. Make sure your gasket's there. Now, make sure the hose is on this fitting first because you won't be able to get this clamp on there afterwards. Just go ahead and feed that through and then get your gasket all set. Now, on the top of this, where the choke cable comes through, you got to remove this completely. And believe me, putting it back on is a little difficult too because again, there's no room up there. So you got to remove that or it won't go on. So we'll go ahead and get this lined up. And that goes on there. And we'll get our two nuts on there on the top. Make sure you put your flat washers on there first. That'll help you from over tightening it or cracking that plastic on there. So let's get that, and we got one more here. And we'll go ahead and tighten them down. You don't got to over torque them, just snug it up and that'll hold that carburetor on there nice. All right, now again, we're not going to put our two back in here. Now if you want to come up with something, that's fine, but look, that has got a lot of stability to it. Now we're going to go ahead and get our air cleaner back in there and get our cover on. Now you kind of got to feed it from the side. You might have to, there we go, just get your air cleaner pop back in there. And these can be stubborn sometimes too. There's clearance there, but go ahead and get it started. And I mean, we went through a little bit to get that installed, but you know what? After you get it done, you get to enjoy the privileges of running the alternative fuel. You never got to worry about your carb gumming up again. You know, you got it. So that's locked in there, and we'll go ahead and we'll show you how to get the choke back on and all that. Okay, now that we've got our adapter all installed, we'll go ahead and get the back of our hoses hooked back up. So we'll get our vent line coming off our gas tank back down to our hose here in the back, the fitting. And then obviously, like I told you in the beginning, because we pulled this away, this will be short to go in there. So we're going to supply you this here, just a little tube extension. You're going to take this and cut this. Now, if you could do it with a razor blade or a pair of scissors, just go ahead and cut that. All right, and then we'll slide our tube in. Now we'll give you a clamp here. That way you don't get any air to breathe or dirt to go inside there. And let's get that up there. Get that clamped down. And then before I clamp this one on, all right, I'm just going to kind of set it up there and see where I'm at. All right, looks like about right there. And let's go ahead and get this clamp on. Open it up a little bit here. And we'll get that set on there. And that was about right in there. About the same as that, the width of the adapter basically, because that's what you're doing. And we'll get that tightened. And we'll go ahead and slide this on here. All right. Got that on. And then this here, you just have to go ahead and pinch it in because it's got a little bit of a lip there on the boot. All right, there we go. We'll show you the next steps. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and get ready to mount our regulator. Now, I've looked a few spots over. I figured this would be the best spot. It gives you the closest signal to your carburetor. That way you get a better fuel economy out of it. And what we're going to do, and this will all be pre-assembled for you, so you won't have to worry about any of that. That's nice about that, because sometimes these can be a bear to get in there. So everything will be done on you on that. So what we're going to do is come over from the side here, kind of just measuring off this. Now, you don't got to be perfect. I'm just trying to give you clearance so you can still pull. You can still change your air cleaner. I come over 5 inches, make a mark from the side here, 5 inches, and then mark over 1 3/4 of an inch, make a mark. And then if you have one, use a punch, okay? That way your drill bit doesn't wobble on you when you go on it, because obviously this is round. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then I'll show you the next steps on drilling it. Okay, now we'll go ahead and drill it out. Now I use 5/16. It gives me a little bit of clearance, and they're 1/4 inch bolts. So, and this is just hollow tube, so just be careful when you. There, we got one more here. Clean them up and we'll show you how to mount it. Okay, now we got our holes all cleaned up. We'll go ahead and mount our regulator assembly. Again, we'll supply you all the hardware with it. And we'll get that one started. Alrighty, come on. There we go. Go ahead and tighten those up. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and pull our hose over from the side. And we're leaving a little bit of play on the outside so it doesn't rub against the frame. So we'll go ahead and get this on here. That tightened down, and we'll go ahead and show you the last step we have here on the video. Okay, our final step here before we run it, we'll go ahead and get our cover on and line that all back up. A little stubborn, but we'll get it. Alrighty, that concludes the steps on this, and we'll show you the next step what we do. Okay, now we're setting this up on propane right now. You'll just connect the hose and we'll supply this. It's 6 foot of hose. It'll come with a high pressure regulator. Now this will hook up to a barbecue tank, a 20-pounder, or we give you enough to be able to stand up with a 100-pounder. So basically this is the only adjustment you're gonna have is your power elbow. Now once you set this and get it running smooth, you'll never have to set it again. So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and turn our propane on and get our valve on here. Now on the back of this unit, there's a primer button. Just go ahead and give that a burst of fuel for just a second or two. You'll hear it. Hit your start. Alright, now, like I said, we preset these, but every now and then you have to adjust them there. It just depends on the hours you have on the machine or the condition, or it could be the altitude, a lot of things like this. Now, just make sure when you started on your propane, obviously you're going to run your gasoline out. So that's basically the steps of this, and we'll go ahead and end this video. I appreciate it. Okay, you've seen the steps on the propane side. Now, if you buy the natural gas hose from us, which we design around this system here, all you'll do is remove the bushing in this, and then we'll supply you this with the hose, and you'll just screw that into your ball valve, and then this will go to your hose and you run it to your meter. So I want to thank you for watching this video very much. I hope it helps out. Again, this is the Generac XG8000E. They're custom kits. This is designed for this unit. You've seen what I went through on it. There are some steps on this, but you know, this is a nice generator, so it's worth putting a little bit of money in, and you got the access of running all three fuels if you decide. So if you're interested, you can go to our website at pngtechnologies.com, or we could be reached at 734-992-2648. Again, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.